Welcome to the Unearthed Man podcast, the journey to becoming a conscious man, hosted by Milva. Hey all, Milva here and welcome to episode 12 of the Unearthed Man podcast. Just again, as I do most weeks, just thank you very much for messages, comments, and those people who are reaching out to just send on their wishes and their thoughts about what they are taking out of each of the podcasts. Last week's podcast we touched on courage, around courage to do with spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical. And on that basis, again, some people have reached out saying, that gave them some inspiration. So for that, as I said before, definitely thank you, and keep the comments coming through. As always, just to remind those who may not have joined into the podcast before, you can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook. Just search for The Unearthed Man. For those that have been on the journey, I appreciate and love you, and for those who've dropped in for the first time because you've heard or of my guest that's coming up, so you decide just to listen in, then thank you for being part of it. For all of those who do listen in, the episode is a little bit clippy, so I always put out just pure raw episodes, so pretty much as recorded is how I drop them in. That's just my style. I don't have a expensive studio, and sometimes technology, doing Zoom calls and so forth, we're aligned to what the internet guides choose to do. So this episode, there is a little bit of clippiness through it, so I'm hoping that doesn't distract you too much from the message that comes through from my guest. So on that point, I hope you decide to listen all the way through. And without further ado, we'll get on with today's episode. My guest this week is a lead coach with Conscious Man Brotherhood, who has spent over 2 years traveling the world solo. This amazing man completed over 100 water fasts in 2019 and is constantly creating a new peak condition with his body. And trust me, that is one absolutely amazing body. He runs a 3-day water fast program, performs one-on-one mentorship, and is actively coaching men in the CMB Man Cave. I first met this man whilst doing Unleash the Beast last November, and I was fortunate to have him as one of my coaches during the King's Court program. I know him as G Money. Welcome to the Unearthed Man podcast, Glyn Cash Money.
What's up, Milva?
Hey man,
Thanks
how you doing?
Me. It's an honor to be here as a guest on your podcast, and just being able to witness your journey over the last 6 months has been huge. So, happy to be here.
Yeah, cool, man. I was actually really excited to get you on board, knowing that after we finished Unleash, we went into King's Court, and yourself along with Blaze Grinner, who's in the previous episode, so to get my two coaches on board early as part of this is exciting for me, and I'm really, same thing, honoured and grateful that you said yes. It's one of those things that we often work through. Yeah, it's one of the things that I think we work through as men is that fear of asking, because that fear of rejection. So just putting out and saying, hey, can you come on board? There's always that anxiousness that comes along with it. So it's really cool.
Yeah, for sure. I was an automatic yes as soon as you asked me, because I know how committed you are to the work, and I know how much this podcast is going to impact so many men around the world that get to tune in and hear your medicine.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, man. So one of my first memories, or one of the first stories, and I'm pretty sure I've recorded this correctly. For Unleash, you had to fly up into Brisbane. And I'm sure it was that flight you did. You decided that when you got on the plane to stretch yourself. So I think you both sung and danced down the aisle of the plane in front of everybody else. Can you talk me through that experience and sort of what made you decide to do something a bit of a stretch?
Yeah, I'd seen this type of video done before on Instagram, where someone would film themselves lip syncing down the aisle of a plane. And as I sat there next to the two people who were perfect for this plane ride, we didn't stop chatting for the whole 2-hour flight. And by the end of the 2 hours, I was like, I really want to do this thing. And they were like, yo, you should totally do it. You have the right energy. Like, it'll be funny. Everyone will laugh. So I picked this Dua Lipa song. I think it's called "Don't Stop Now," and yeah, I just proceeded to walk right to the front of the aircraft and start singing the song. And I got a few weird looks, but it was so liberating to be able to put myself out there like that. And it ended up being quite a funny video. And I got told off by the air hostess, and it was all worth it, just to get people out of the pattern of doing the monotonous thing on a plane of just sitting there and keeping quiet, but like bringing some joy and energy to the experience.
Yeah, and I love that. Funny enough, that inspired me at a point in time. I did a run called the Mountain to Surf down at Lawn. It's about a 7K run up through the hills. And in the end, I'm running along going, you know what? Everyone's a bit flat. Everyone's a bit low. So I just started to yell out, hey, aren't we meant to be having fucking fun out here? Like, this is meant to be a fun run. And just, just decided to go, why not? And then we got to a bridge. There was about, 15 people lined up to go over this single person walk bridge. So I've run up to it and going, well, we're all waiting here. So I put up my hands and go, Annie, happy, and you know it, clap your hands. but yeah, and that was...
Mate.
It was the inspiration that you gave me, because I'm like, wow, like, just step outside that zone and just do something that, as you said, it's not monotonous.
A couple questions for you. One, how did you even have the energy to, like, you're doing a 7K run and you have the energy to be cheering people on? And two, how did you go on that race? Did you celebrate at the end the way you were celebrating through?
So, the interesting thing was, since I've been on this journey, my energy levels have been so high. And I just found that I've now just got this untapped energy source that I can bring in. So there's the physical energy, but there's that emotional energy that I knew I could tap in at the same time. So, yeah, that felt really good. Did I celebrate I finished? I did, because 500 yards out from the finish line, I popped my calf. So I had to sort of semi-limp home. But no, it was awesome, because we did the run with my son, his girlfriend, and also my wife. So, we did a lot of celebration at the end, which was great. But that was probably my big celebration of going, in 50 odd years, I would never have done that, and just decided to just be a bit crazy. And that liberating feeling is awesome. So I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's huge, man.
So one of the things that on that sort of topic that I wanted to touch on today is, for us to do that, we have to remove the mask, the mask that actually holds us back. So for you, well, first of all, let's take half a step back. Your journey. Your journey to be... Sorry, man. Can you hear me? All right. Looks like we've lost a sound with Glyn, so we'll be able to cut this piece out. Are you still there, man?
Yep, I'm back. I'm not sure what happened, but it dropped out as we were talking about the masks that we sometimes put on.
All right. So what I can do is, because it's beautiful, we can always do an edit and a recap. So let's start with that question.
Yeah.
Let me drop in that space again. Yeah. So just on that topic about, actually, what I was going to do, we'll pause this piece. I'm going to drop that piece. I'm going to take half a step back, and I'll just re-ask a question. Yeah. So we'll cut in from about here. So one thing, and that's really great for us to get rid of that inhibition. It's about dropping off some masks. But before we get into that space, let's take a step back. Your journey into becoming a conscious man and being a bit more conscious about. Walk me through, where did that start? How did you tap into the journey? What initiated you to say, hey, there's something out here, and I probably need to look to have a change or look at how I'm operating as a man?
For sure. I guess it starts with all men are a product of their environment and the people they surround themselves with. And from the ages of 18 to 21, I was very much in the scene of like partying, going out, and that was like my lifestyle. I would be working and then going out on the weekends with all my friends, going to music festivals, and not that there's anything wrong with that. But when I started to develop and tap into other aspects of myself, whether it was personal development, whether it was spirituality, there came this point where I started to be more open about sharing that part of my journey online, and realizing that the friends that I had developed in this environment didn't truly resonate with some of the depths of who I truly was or where I was moving towards. Really was a wake-up call to say, you know, if I'm not this person who I've been for the last 3-4 years, gaining the approval and respect of everyone in my space, then who am I really? And it took me on this solo journey where it feels quite lonely at times when you don't really feel like you can have anyone to confide with. When you're developing yourself, you're meditating every day, and you're going through this process. And it wasn't until I was 24 I decided to step out of my whole environment that all I've ever known for my whole life, living in Adelaide, and go traveling around the world by myself. And what I realized was the feedback that I got from the world when I wasn't in the normal environment that I was in was different. And I started to see myself differently as I started to meet people who were seeing me through different eyes, that were inspired by my way of living, and that were able to reflect something different. And as the mirror changed, then my view of myself changed, and I started to realize that we are so much more than this idea in our head that we've grown up with, and we can always continue to expand and evolve. Throughout that process, I attracted many amazing mentors like Preston Smiles, Adam Rower, just some amazing coaches that really supported me on my journey in who I am today and how I'm able to show up and support other men.
Yeah, Matt, that I love that. That's so awesome. I think, particularly given that at that age, at 24, perfect time to go and just leave. I've spoke to my kids a couple of times, which is about finish your school, get whatever ticket you want to do, and then just disappear. Like, just go out there and actually do what you can, see the world, go and travel. There's plenty of time for settling down, plenty of time for family, but just get out there and experience the world and what it offers. And I think you're right. We have this perception about how we think the world sees us, and then we actually go out there and we do it, and the perceptions just get totally blown away. That's not how the world actually sees us. They see us in a completely different light.
100%. And yeah, I think it was through that process of seeing myself differently based on the feedback I was receiving now that I'm overseas was ties into what we brought up at the start, being able to liberate ourselves and just be a little bit more crazy and express more of what's truly inside, the joy, the bliss, all of it.
Yeah, I find that extremely interesting when we decide to move out of the world that we currently live in and we go and do, go somewhere else. Let's say we go and travel like you have. We turn into different people. Well, it feels like we turn into different people, but the reality is we actually turn into the person that we truly are. And that's where I think where people struggle when they go on their holidays and they go on their holidays and they effectively don't give a fuck. And they just chill out and go, hey, I'm just going to do whatever I want to do, and I'm going to be silly on the beach, and I'm going to do crazy bombs in a pool or whatever else. What they're not realizing is when they come back and they wish for that holiday, they're actually wishing to be that person that they were, which was without any inhibitions at the time they were on their holidays.
Yeah, 100%. And for the most part, I haven't been on many holidays since I started traveling. It's always been an adventure that I'm on. It's like, what am I going to discover in this trip? Yeah, but I completely get that. Like, people will go on a holiday to leave their normal life behind, just so they can step out of that box just for a little bit of time. But if they were to really take travel a little bit more, not serious, but take it with more, like, it has so much more to offer in terms of personal growth and development, they might start to begin to see themselves differently. And uncover more of who they truly are back in their normal everyday life as well.
Yeah, man, I agree. I think it's for me, it's the difference between doing the journey and being part of the journey. You know, that being part of is immersing yourself in that complete journey and what's actually taking place. So yeah, man, I love that. I love that. So since then, you've got back. Is that through Preston connection in the Conscious Man Brotherhood? You then have now dropped into
Yeah.
the space, the coaching, the water
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah. So the crazy thing about how all this part of my journey unraveled was I I first hired Preston as my like one-on-one coach back in 2015, like the OG days,
Yeah.
and I developed a relationship with him there. This was really before all of his stuff really blew up. And then as I was traveling, he was needing someone to manage his social media, and because I wasn't earning income while I was traveling, I was like, man, this is something I could do on the road. So he reached out to me, which is it was a cool confirmation that when we surrender to the journey that we don't know how it's going to unfold, that spirit or God or universe will put things on our path that are really aligned for us. So I started managing his social. And then he started Man Cave, and he needed someone to help manage that container. So I became the community manager. So I was the person you'd go to for any of the call times or just any of the administrative stuff.
Yeah.
And then by the second Man Cave, I was just like, yo, he put me in, like, I'm ready to coach. Like I want to do this. And just like being persistent and just showing up to the things that were in alignment for me led to an opportunity where I got to coach men in this amazing container called Man Cave. Which led into the Unleash the Beast workshop, which I met you at, and has continued to unravel and unfold, and has developed into the part of my journey where I'm now mentoring people one-on-one, using water fasting as the catalyst for my coaching. But yeah, it's been amazing, man.
Yeah, awesome. So in relation to that, you know, being involved in a few of the man caves, and you're still actively involved with that, to probably take that step back into the link between the journeys and the travel and where we are. All the masks that we decide to put on and off as we go through. What's your view with men about the masks that they continually put on? The dad mask, the unemotional mask, the I'm the professional mask, I'm the gym junkie mask, or all these things. What's your thoughts in men as to where that could be either from my view detracting
Yeah,
from who they truly are?
yeah, for sure. I think many of the masks that we wear as men is just us looking for acceptance. We want to be accepted. We don't want to feel rejected, and a lot of it is just protecting our heart, protecting people from really truly seeing what's going on within us, or this idea that we have to be this type of person for my family, the stoic father, or I have to be this type of person around my friends. It might be the jester, where it's like, yeah, I'm always this guy that's got it all together and making people laugh. Really, as a way to not allow people in, and not allow ourselves to truly see ourselves as well. So really it's about just protecting ourselves from the unknown. And as you begin this journey of self-growth and development and becoming a conscious man, it's about peeling back the layers and realizing that it's safe to come out, it's safe to be seen, it's safe to be held by your brothers, especially when there's stuff that has just been sitting there for years and years and years. But unless you've not been exposed to people that are in this type of work, or men that are in this work that can truly hold space, then it's like, where do you go? And this is when it's men like you that are making a huge difference in showing men that there's another way to be in the world.
Yeah, thanks, man. Because I think that's, I see it. I operate in the corporate space. So the floor that I'd operate on, it has 350 people working. Unfortunately, in the IT area, it is still reasonably male dominated, and you just see. I think I use the term soulless people because they're so closed over, and they're not there. I think Billy Connolly, the great Scottish comedian, he uses a term about being beige. He always says that the day he becomes beige is the day he's happy to leave the earth, because it means that he's lost the colour, he's lost who he truly is. So, yeah, so on that aspect, yeah, I see it all the time. And if I think the conversations that people could have, even in the workplace, that are less confrontational and less maybe aggressive and less defensive, is just because we're all trying to, not to be seen as being vulnerable and being human.
Yeah. The really cool thing is to add on to that is, the more we do the work on ourselves, the more we become the space and the presence for other people to open up as well. So we become the bridge for other men that are feeling trapped inside, whether they know it or not, just by lifting the mask off ourselves and continuing to do the work and moving through it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So on that point, have you actually found that the more that you've become open and the more that you're willing to be who you are and drop into that space, that you've actually, others are becoming attracted to you, that people, it's almost like there's an energetic calling to come to say, hey, how do I be part of this? What have you done and how can I move to this space?
For sure. I believe we're always attracting people no matter what. And what I'm more cognizant of and realizing is that the people that we attract into our space are the people that we get to serve, whether it's an exchange or not. Whoever's in front of us, we get to serve, and they've come into our space for a reason. And we have medicine for them and wisdom for them, as do they for us. So one thing I really was highlighted to me on my last journey, I traveled the Philippines for a month, was the people that continued to come into my space were people that were on some sort of self-realization path as well. And not that I was to be their coach or whatever, but just by being in presence with them, they were able to open up and unravel, so that they could know themselves better and see themselves more clearly through the reflection of me.
Yeah, and I think we see that like in the programs that we've been involved in, or even the program that I've run. 15 strangers, never met each other before. You drop them into even a virtual room, and as some have admitted, they've opened up the stuff to two strangers that found that safe space. They haven't told 90% of the people that they deal with, and it's interesting because all we did was create a safe container that was non-judgmental. And I think as men start to realize that these containers are out there for them, that it's available for them to drop in, and as soon as they say something that they may have shame or guilt about, and the person looks back and goes, yep, okay. And, and they go, the sigh of relief comes out. He goes, oh, so you're not judging me for that. It's like, hey, man, we've all done shit. Like,
that's it.
It's an interesting thing.
Yeah, turning these containers into a space from judgment into compassion is huge for the healing of men.
Yeah.
And
So the other thing I want to touch on, because I'm this is an area I'm also extremely interested in, is the water fast. So talk me through your journey into water fasting, learning about water fasting. Like, where did you pick up on that from yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So I've been doing it for about 6 years now, and initially it 100% started for the vanity of wanting to look better and to feel better about myself. And I was introduced to it as a way that would help me lean down. But I was very skeptical because I was very much in the mindset of, you have to continue to eat to maintain muscle mass. And that was the belief system that I was operating within.
Yep.
And then from about 2014 onwards, every year, like before summer, I would go on this water fasting regimen, which I've critiqued so much over the past 6 years, where I would just get lean and I would feel incredible. And it would be like this 16-week journey every time, getting into my peak conditioning. And then the next year, I'm like, what can I change or alter that would make that better? And throughout that process, what I realized was I actually started to feel better lighter, and I started to feel better on the days that I was fasting. And it wasn't so much about just wanting to look good. It was like, I actually feel better when this is the way I operate, and this is a huge part of my life.
Yeah.
And then more so in the last 2 years, I started doing the research, to wanting to understand what was happening in my body, what processes I was moving into when I hit ketosis, which is the space when you stop using carbs as fuel, like all your liver is depleted of carbs, and you start transforming your body fat as a resource for energy.
Yep.
So I just started researching the processes behind that I was experiencing in my body. And as I went deeper and deeper into this practice, I felt called to continue to fast lots last year. I did it over 100 times. And throughout that process, what I realized was fasting could be the catalyst for huge transformation. And I started implementing intention with my fasting, where it was like,
Okay.
I'm gonna use this next 36 hours, 48 hours, whatever the length of the fast was. I'm gonna use this to really feel a lot of the resistance that I've been not allowing myself to feel. And what I realized was, when we're not suppressing ourselves with food and consumption, is those things are so much easier to come to the surface, and we're able to transform it with love and compassion when they arise. So it became a lot about my self-growth and self-development, and really attuning my body so that I could be the vibration for higher frequency thoughts to come into my space, so I could continue to impact and serve people the way that I serve people. So it continued to unravel and unwind, and now people out of nowhere are coming to me like, hey, can I do a 3-day water fast? Hey, can you take me through this 16-week journey? And it's been amazing to be able to support people in that part of their transformation. Yeah,
it's an amazing thing. I did a 72-hour water fast this year, and I was speaking to a person at work about it, and someone jumped up. He goes, "I would highly recommend against this. I'm a trained nutritionist,"
yeah,
and not knocking trained nutritionists, but
yeah,
also as now I'm full plant based and done all my own research around different foods and how they operate. There is definitely some indoctrination in that nutritionist space.
yeah.
And I love the 3 days. Like the 72 hours was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
From a protocol point of view. So what are just as a hint? So if someone thinks that on their own they're just going to go and drop into a 72 hours, I know I've done a bit of research into the protocol before and after. What are some of the
Yeah.
tips for someone who decides that they want to lead in to do a 3-day water fast? Surely they shouldn't be chowing down the Mars bar and then all of a sudden put that in the bin and then
Nah,
jump into the 3-day water fast.
nah, for sure. Everyone that comes into my space that I get to support, I always will ask them if they have any underlying health conditions that could affect the 3 days. Because for the most part, 3 days you're not going to die.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, it's a lot of the protocol would just be, one, getting really clear in your intention for why you're wanting to do this. Because when you hit those walls of like when the hormone ghrelin is released, when it's your normal feeding time, which is like signals that it's time to eat, how are you going to push through if you don't have the clear intent or clear, strong reason for why you're doing this? Another thing would be just checking in with a friend, be like, hey, I'm doing a 3-day water fast over the next 3 days. Could you just check in with me each night to see how I'm feeling? And having that support, and allowing people to really support you in the process, because 3 days is a long period of time to be eating, and so much can come up during that period, emotionally, energetically, and also just making sure that you're adding salts into your water, and making sure that you're still getting those electrolytes throughout the process, so you're able to function and continue on with your day-to-day stuff.
Yep. And then at the back end, I'm assuming it's not fish and chips, the meal directly after your water fasting. It's,
No, not at all.
what's the simplest
Yeah,
way to sort of come out of that? Obviously, because when you're not eating for
for
3
sure.
days, your view on how you
Yeah,
come out.
yeah. So I'm always very cognizant of the energetic state I'm in before I go into consuming food. So having something like cinnamon tea and meditating before you officially break the fast is huge for calming down the cortisol levels in your body. And then the thing that I'm currently recommending to the people that come to my space is a bone broth as the way to break it. Just there's so much nutrient gold that's in bone broth that really it floods the body because you haven't had nutrients in your body for the last 72 hours. So starting off with that, and depending on whether you're vegan or whether you still eat animals, I tend to have salmon after the bone broth.
Yep.
And not overeating in the first 12-24 hours coming out of the water fast is super important as well, because your stomach is extra sensitive having not consumed in so long.
Yeah, and I think it's important you get all those prebiotics and probiotics back in, because you're right. You have to. There's a part of rebuilding your stomach and how it all operates. I know after my 72 hour, because I'm plant based, I had a mango. So I had a mango and a plum and some avocado, and the taste sensation was just amazing, because you haven't actually had any taste for 3 days because you just had the water. Rediscovering just the beautiful sweetness and flavors of food again, and it reminds you to always be thankful and grateful for those wonderful flavors that we can actually have. It's a really good reminder I found as well.
Yeah, for sure. And if they are plant-based, I always recommend fruit as well. Coming out of the fast, it's getting the nutrients from the source, from the earth, is huge. And definitely, as you said, the taste and flavors are something that you appreciate so much more coming out of a water fast.
Yeah, awesome. So we'll probably look to roll up, but before we actually do, any men out there? So what's your message to sort of men out there who may have come into this podcast and start to listen and go, "Hey, I wonder what this is about." What's your thoughts or tips about doing that transformation or starting on this journey?
For sure. I think the greatest message that I can share at this point is your expression in the world is the greatest gift that you can give humanity. So the way that you express who you are in the world is the greatest gift that you can give humanity. And that comes in how you serve, that comes in how you take care of your body, that comes in the work you choose. It's all an expression of God, the universe, source moving through you and using you as a vessel, as an example of what's possible. So to really follow the breadcrumbs of the things that are tugging on your heart is an amazing path to go down, and just know that you'll be held and you'll be caught as you go on that hero's journey and live out your Rocky movie, whatever you want to call it.
Man, that's some awesome thoughts that you've got in there, and I love exactly how you've put that. It's something that I'm going to probably start to put back into my stuff about how I think about things. So yeah, awesome piece of wisdom, man. I love it for that. So thanks a lot for today. It's been excellent just being able to sit down and revisit and have a chat. It's been a while since you and I have had a chance to sit down and just chat. So it's great that we're able to do this within the podcast. So all the best to yourself and to the wonderful programs you're actually running, because again, this service you're providing out to men is just awesome. And I love seeing what you're doing out there. So it's been a super pleasure, and I'm just immensely grateful that that one, you've been a part of my life and a fundamental changing point in my life, and I love you for that, man. So thanks a lot, and take care and look after yourself.
Yeah, I received that, man. And back at you, bro. It's been amazing to watch your journey over the past 6 months, from Unleash the Beast workshop to King's Court to you really truly just stepping up and being a stand for so many men in the world with your podcast, with the programs that you've been running. It's been a privilege to support you on that journey, and to continue to watch the way you express in the world and the way you serve is a true honor. So thank you for having me on. I hope we get to connect again real soon.
All right. Cheers, man. Take care. We'll chat soon.
See ya.
That was episode 12 of the Unearthed Man podcast with Glyn Money. Thanks, G Money, for jumping in and providing some awesome wisdom in relation to travel, the masks we wear, and the benefits of water fasting and looking after yourselves. I continue to get inspiration from you. So from me, I hope you enjoyed that episode. Again, apologies for the quality, but sometimes it is what it is. So take care. Seeing you. Much love and peace. The Unearthed Man.